Hi, this is Denise Crosby from Pet Sematary, and you're listening to the Timo and Harley Show.
Welcome to the Timo and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Timo and Harley Show. I am Timo. Over there's my partner in Mindcrime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben Hot to Trot Harley.
Hey, what's happening, Timo?
Not much. Got a lot of music things going on, Ben Harley, and moving things.
Yeah.
So I got.
Okay.
I got Dermal Ridge. We got like the fireplace in now. The roof is on. Stonework is done. Looking for some siding now to go up. So it's moving. Moving forward,
buddy, good.
The music stuff is moving forward, and I needed to slow down, slow down a little bit. Yeah, I know.
It's like you're on tour again, Tim.
Yeah. Well, I know Bob from Ultraman, owns Foo Bar. He sent out a note. He's like, "Hey, does Ultraman want to do a Christmas show this year?" I got, like a day before Christmas Eve open. I just went, no. I'm like, I got too much. No, I'm gonna be moving. No, right around then. And he's got a new baby too. He's gonna learn not to do that too much more.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh boy.
Not new baby. I guess he's about a year. He's a couple years old, or a year and a half old. Time's flying, Ben Harley, and I'm not having fun. So it's still flying. You don't need to have fun. I have proven you scientifically do not need to have fun for time to fly. You know?
That's true.
So, especially when you're past the halfway point, right?
Oh yeah, it's just flying. I mean, I tell you what, it's just. Weeks or days just go by so fast. It's like, what just happened? Like,
right.
It was Monday. Now it's like Sunday night. I'm like, what just happened? You know?
That's right. I need Superman to start flying around the earth backwards to help me out here.
There you go. Yeah.
Get back in time. So, well, let's go back in time, Harley, for this week.
Sure.
And I'll throw a few things out that I watched here. Some fun stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
First up, from 1984, watched a Clint Eastwood movie called Tightrope.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
I got this confused with the one that was a little bit like one of the last Dirty Harry movies he did. I can't think of the name of it right now. That was the problem. The problem was it was one of those thriller names like Tightrope, Tough Gut,
Was that the one where it wasn't Guns N' Roses in that or something too? Like at the beginning, like shoot a video in that.
The Dirty Harry one? That's actually Jim Carrey. So. That's Jim Carrey looking like Axl Rose. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's also got Liam Neeson in it and some other
right.
but so that I thought that I had gotten them confused. I thought I was popping that in, but I did not. I popped in Tightrope, which is much more of a serious film.
Yeah.
Still a cop drama type thing, but that was okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, that was just on recently. I watched some of it. Yeah, it's not too bad. I don't think he's a real tough guy in it, though.
No, he's not. No, not super tough. No, just normal tough.
He's not Dirty Harry tough.
No. Right. No, bullets don't. Right? Yeah, bullets don't bounce off of him. Let's see here. Watched a movie, Harley, from 1951. This is an interesting one. The Man from Planet X.
Okay. I've seen that one.
Well, this is purported to be the first alien invasion film. Okay.
Oh, really?
It is shot a lot like a Universal horror film. Even the sets and everything are off center. That's drabs, castles, fog, lightning, and instead of like a Frankenstein monster or a Wolfman, there's a spaceship that lands. And this alien guy up to no good. But here's the thing, okay? It came out, it came out before Day the Earth Stood Still. It came out before The Thing. Okay. It is considered literally the first horror alien movie. Except, Ben Harley. Except.
Okay.
The poor aliens, about 5 foot tall, and it looks like, them giant heads they put, like famous people's heads they put on people now, like let's say Ben Harley's real famous, so someone made a giant paper mache head and put him on their shoulders and walking around and ha ha ha, I'm Ben Harley. You know what I'm talking about? Like the big head things. Yeah. It looks like a Nicolas Cage big head. Is pretty much what this thing looks like with the helmet on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's scary enough. Yeah.
It's an interesting film to watch. It's very quaint because it's really low budget. Really low budget.
Is it okay? Right.
It was okay to watch. It was just one of those, I got it. Let's throw it in and watch it. Something to look at.
Sure.
It's definitely not one of my favorites. It's a curiosity because, again, it is considered the first alien horror film. So, and it feels like a horror film.
That's what would interest me to see. You know, especially if it is considered. If it is,
I think it is. I mean, you watch, you're like, yeah, this has got to be, because I don't remember any goofy monsters before this. Let's see. Moving on, Ben Harley. I'm just on this weird sequel freak out. Aren't I?
Yeah,
I can't get over it, and I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. I mean, it must be all this music we're playing and moving and everything. I'm blowing a few fuses, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I need to spend my time watching things I know I don't like, and there's something wrong with that. I don't know. Might have some kind of vitamin deficiency or something. But watch Prom Night 4, Deliver Us from Evil. Okay.
4, huh? I didn't even know.
From 1992. This one's kind of oddly watchable. It really? Pretty much just says we're off the prom night storyline here completely. Okay. Completely. Okay. It basically has an evil priest.
Is there even a prom in there?
In the beginning, and I think this movie takes place on a prom night. But there's an evil priest that's like locked up in the dungeons of some big monastery or something like that. And he breaks free and I don't know why he does it, but he goes and he attacks a house full of partying kids and kills them in gruesome ways and things. It's really oddly watchable. I mean, it's like one of those things where you're not going to go, man, I need this on Blu-ray or something, but it was on Amazon Prime, so I hit play. And what happened was I got a little irritated because I thought the picture was not up to snuff, so I found it on DVD. I have it on DVD.
Of course, yeah.
A double feature with Prom Night 3 that I have on. So watched it and then, like I said, oddly watchable. I'm not going to recommend it. A DVD Bob super special that I watched. A super special that I watched from 1986, Hands of Steel.
Okay.
Bro, I boogied with this movie. I boogied with this movie. Let me tell you, this is if I had about $650 and I wanted to make a remake of the Terminator, it'd be way better than this. It'd be way better, but they tried for about $545, and they didn't have the full $650. This is crazy. It's just like it's supposed to be a futuristic world. It could have been like filmed on the set of Death Wish 3. You know, I mean, I don't know what's going on. It's got crazy George Eastman in it, who was the Grim Reaper in Anthropophagus. He was the monster guy in that movie. John Saxon made an appearance, of course. Yeah. It's kind of, and it is Italian. It's Italian produced. So that's all you need to know. The one great thing about this, what it adds to the Terminator formula is that when the movie slows down, because they ran out of their $650, they just padded out with a bunch of arm wrestling. So
really
predates Over the Top. It was groundbreaking, Ben Harley. Groundbreaking. Man. I got a surprise for you. See, I'm trying to get you on the Amazon Primes, and every week now, everything I've talked about and everything I will talk about is on Amazon Prime this week. I'm just telling you. Except Hands of Steel.
I'm working my way towards it. I swear to you. I think I'm going to have to drop the Hulus and go.
Well, you need to work harder. You need to work harder because I watched a movie from 2014 called Throwback. Okay.
Throwback. Okay.
And it is a Australian Yowie movie.
Oh, now you got me.
Yeah. And basically it's these two guys out in an Australian wilderness and they're treasure hunting. And it immediately kind of becomes like a Treasure Sierra Madre. Gold fever, Ben Harley. Gold fever.
Gold fever. Ooh.
Yeah. Whenever you're holding a lot of gold, it's almost like a natural human instinct to backstab.
Right. Yeah.
I think the aliens implanted it in our DNA when they messed with us when we were coming out of the caves, I suppose.
Right.
But a lot of double crossing. They're after some gold bullions. Vernon Wells shows up out of,
really?
I mean, literally out of nowhere. Literally. The three main, there's a park ranger and the two guys who found the gold, and they're backstabbing each other. And a park ranger comes in and gets in between them somehow. Kind of a cute gal gets in there. Okay. And so the guy who's a dick, the guy who's like really kind of the dick of the two, the guy that backstabs first, we'll put it that way, is standing out in the wilderness, fearing for his life from a Yowie. And all of a sudden, and I mean, they're in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Nowhere. They got to have GPS to find out if they're still on Earth. Okay. Out of nowhere walks out Vernon Wells in a ghillie suit. It says he's a detective. He says he's a detective. He says, I want to know why in the last 5 years we've had about 6 different, very experienced hikers come out here and never return. In a ghillie suit?
Yeah. Yeah.
By yourself? Really? Okay. Yeah. I mean, they have like drones and things you can fly around and look. Anyway. Yeah, you know, it actually, once it gets going, it's fairly decent. It's pretty low budget. All right. And it's very fumbly in the beginning. In the beginning, you're like, yeah, some bad edits. Like, it looks like it might have been done on Final Cut, you know, Pro or whatever. So some, like, you can hear the audio come in and out with the edits. The suit is so bad. If the damn like Yowie didn't growl, I would have assumed it was a hoax movie. That's how bad this is. Oh, really? But they really keep it out of focus. You never really see it. You never really see it, but you see enough of it to know it looks like a redone Snuffleupagus kind of suit, you know. So
nice. That's jeez.
Yeah. So it's basically like Exists meets Stomping Ground. That's kind of the budget thrown in there, and then meets Treasure of Sierra Madre, which I love Treasure of Sierra Madre. It's one of my favorite films. I have a question for you, Mr. Ben Harley.
Sure.
And this is
about like gold.
Well, no, it's we'll talk about that later off air. I'll stab you in the back. You're used to it. Come on.
Yeah.
You've got a hole there ready to go. I'll just put it in the hole. It's been crusted over back there.
Right.
Why on earth? Why on earth are there no big budget Bigfoot movies?
I don't know, Timo. I mean, for me, it's just you have all the elements that for not just a good horror movie, but a good movie, period. You know what I mean? Like, first off, you got the woods, Timo, right? You got darkness. You got a giant bipedal ape-like creature that could snap you in half, right? I mean, there's, like I said, I mentioned the wilderness. You could be out there by yourself, lost.
Right.
It has all the elements, Timo. I don't know. I don't get it either, buddy.
Well, it's like Exists was well known, but it wasn't big budget. It was found footage.
No,
I'm talking about something that is shot, something that is legit, something like that is shot by a cameraman, not by the actors. I mean, something like the closest thing we have to it was from the 1950s with Hammer. That's not really a big budget, but for crying out loud, this is why I still say it's the best Bigfoot movie. It's just the best Bigfoot movie. I think like Abominable tried. It's just still not big budget. Why wouldn't George Clooney, if Brad Pitt can be in a zombie movie?
Why can't George Clooney? Yeah.
Why can't George Clooney
be in a Bigfoot film?
Yeah, be in a Bigfoot film. Right. I'm calling George Clooney out. I don't know why I'm calling him out. Just grab that out of nowhere. Not? Yeah, but I'm just saying,
why not? He deserves it.
Look, it's an open question. It's an open question, right? I mean, and I'm right because Bigfoot is very popular. I mean,
and that's the other thing. Well, you know, I was meant to touch on how it's never been more popular than it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sorry, but it hasn't. As much as I'd like to say, because we're from the 70s and growing up, no, it's never been more popular than it is right now. Never.
Right.
I don't know that it ever will be as popular as it is right now.
And we're left with Night of the Demon and the $6 Million Man shit. It's like,
oh God,
come on. I mean, you're making horror films about giant rabbits. And you can't make a movie about a big, and you're right. It's set up for a good, scary film. I mean, let's think about the movie Dog Soldiers. You could have something like Dog Soldiers in a cabin with a bunch of soldiers with Sasquatches attacking. Yeah. I mean, this is very, or we can make it smaller. We can make it a couple out. We've talked about this. A couple out in a cabin taking a vacation and something is mysteriously poking around and scaring the crap out of them. You know, it's like, it's not, I don't know, Harley. I don't know. I wonder if it's
kind
just
of upsetting to me.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if it's wrapped up in the world today where everybody's pigeonholing everyone else into different categories. And it's almost like Bigfoot would be a silly category. Does that even is that, I don't even think I'm stretching that much. It's like, no, there's money to be had. There's money to be made. And I think a lot of people go see it for fun.
Especially in Hollywood.
Well, I haven't found too much. You got that hole in your back for the gold bullions. We all like the monies, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I like to take money and trade it for goods and services. I found this to work well. Real well.
It works real well.
Yeah.
Especially for goods, especially for food.
Right.
Like
right. Well, all right. Well,
Timo, I don't know, buddy. I don't get it. That's one reason I think I enjoy Exist so much is because for me, finally, and I take that back. No, I don't take it back. I like. There's a few Bigfoot movies that I really enjoy, but for me, for some reason, Exists just kind of stuck out, and I'm not a big found footage fan, but yet, I don't know. My thing is you could do so much with the Bigfoot character, so much, and just make it so terrifying. I mean, what is more terrifying, Timo, than being out in the woods, camping, and something is growling next to your tent or picks your tent up and swings you around, throws you?
Being the reason the stomach is growling.
right,
Yeah. And I mean, I don't dismiss what you're saying about Exist. It's just for me, I don't think it's better than Abominable Snowman in the Himalayas. I just think it's a better movie. I'm not saying I don't like Exist. I think it's one of the, And then we have Stomping Ground was good. It was really low budget though. I mean, Something in the Woods, I thought was a success given it cost like $1,000 to make or something. Yeah. But it's still a low budget film. And I enjoy low budget films if they're done well. But I want to have something big budget to bounce off of.
Right. And I just taped Stomping Ground too. Timo was on the other day. I haven't watched it. I mean, we've watched it, but I haven't gone back. But it was on the other day. So I taped it. And, I'm going to go back and watch it. And I do enjoy it, except for the ending for the most part. But I will say, Timo, and then this will be it for me. But even though Boggy Creek is like watching a movie through cheesecloth.
Because
it's so dark. Yeah. But my God, when I was a kid, that scared me. It really did. And I think that Hollywood or whatever could make a good Bigfoot film. So it's, boo to them. Let's just say that. Boo, 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 because they're, right now, they're real short-sighted on that subject.
They'll end up making it like a modern day War of the Gargantuas and make them superheroes and fighting and shit. Right. I don't want that. It's a horror movie. I don't know, Ben Harley, but I mean, you would think somebody would say, hey, Bigfoot's not copywritten. You can't copyright an animal. Yeah. So it's like, go ahead. You make the money off of it. But who knows, Ben Harley? Right. Who knows? What do we know, right? What do we know? So last up right here real quick on Amazon Prime, I watched a movie, Ben Harley. Now, this movie, the first time I heard of this movie was helping our good friend DVD Bob from Cult Fiction Underground, Bob Slendorn. We are helping him at his table. All right. Now, when you help Bob at his table, you think you know a lot about movies. And man, people come up and they got that one movie they saw when they were a kid that is obscure. And some guy walked up and said, do you guys have the movie The Amazing Mr. No Legs? And I looked at this guy and was like, I don't believe so. Is that a real movie or are you making this up? He's like, oh, no, it's a real movie. It's from the 70s. It's got Richard Jekyll in it, John Agar, Rance Howard, who's Ron Howard's father. Wow, yeah. It's directed by Rico Browning. I'm like, you get out of here. just leave. You know, you're not gonna.
Yeah.
You're trying to steal something. You're trying to. You know. Well, sure enough, on Amazon Prime, Ben Harley still trying to get you over there. Just up the other day is the Mr. No Legs. The Amazing Mr. No Legs was the British title for this film. It certainly does star Richard Jekyll. It certainly is directed by Rico Browning. Certainly has John Agar as a police captain in it, and Rance Howard is a bad guy, which is tough, you know. And yes, there is a mob enforcer who does not have any legs, and he's in a wheelchair. He is a kung fu champion that has shotguns attached to his wheelchair.
Nice. All right.
Now, if you want to see,
coming to my house?
if you want to see a middle-aged trucker-looking guy kung fuing with Bruce Lee noises with no legs, and okay,
wait,
we both have. How am I going to put this? We both have disabled children, correct?
Yes.
So I'm not. Yeah. So don't you, all you social justice warriors, fuck off. Okay. You clean up my kid's shit sometime and then we can argue. All right. So here's the thing.
Yeah. Right.
The man has no legs. He's a kung fu artist going. Okay. Looks like Mel Sharples pretty much. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got two little compartments on his side. Now, when these guys try to double cross him and they bum rush him in his chair, he starts roundhouse kicking with his torso and his little nubs coming off his. Now he hits this guy full on a couple times. All right, couple times.
Yeah.
Now,
okay.
I don't know exactly like where things are cut off at. Let's put it this way. It basically looked like he was beating the shit out of his own balls. Okay.
Okay.
Because he's like kicking. Ouch. He's got his arms up and he's like swinging his butt area around because that's all that's left. And then he's jumping on top of people on their chest. Okay. So that's one thing. It just, I'm, you know what I'm going with that? I'm like, ow, man. I didn't know a guy with no legs could swim, but he can too.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Now, John Agar claims that he was never paid for his day's work in this film. What's funny is he's the main bad guy. So he worked a day on the movie, okay? And there's this really uncomfortable, super long car chase at the end where it's just cars driving around and they just keep editing in a shot of John Agar like jostling around a steering wheel. Clearly not moving.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, apparently the guy that plays the Amazing Mr. No Legs, his name is Ted Volrath, and he was the first wheelchair black belt. Okay. Really? But I'm telling you, this movie has a rash of unattractive people with mustaches. And I mean gender neutral here. I mean general.
Yeah, you love mustaches.
Oh God, yeah, I sure do.
That sounds a little strange, Timo.
It's not normal.
It's not normal.
It's not normal. This is the kind of movie that when it played in the drive-in, no one pulled in the drive-in. They just drove by real slow looking at the screen, you know. It's strange. I'll tell you what was interesting about it is Luke Halpin is in it, the Sandy Ricks character from Flipper, which is a Rico Browning. Oh, okay. Rico Browning was involved with Flipper. We went through this stuff with Mark Diamond too, with from the Dwarves too, and we had talked about it, before that too. But yeah, so this is basically another movie that has some tie-ins to Shockwaves, because Shockwaves was Luke Halpin and it had some of the same group basically doing that film too. Yeah. This is a strange movie.
It doesn't sound like it.
Well, the funny thing is that once again, Harley, I never thought I'd ever say this in my life, but needs a little bit more no legs. A little bit more no legs action. Yeah. Richard Jekyll just looks like he's wanting to pick his check up. I mean, he just wants to pick his check up. Another one of the bad guys, though, is played by a guy named Lloyd Bachner, who played in the animated Batman stuff. He played Mayor Hamilton. And I mean, he did? From like 92 to 2001, he was Mayor Hamilton. So that was Lloyd Bachner. And he's tons and tons of different different flicks and stuff. So, but yes, again, on Amazon Prime, Ben Harley, The Amazing Mr. No Legs. So to the gentleman that walked up to DVD Bob's table, you're right. I saw it.
You are right.
You're correct. Yes. So what do you got, Harley? You got anything with no legs or maybe one leg or, anything like that?
No, but, I'm going to have to tie in something you said about Mel Sharples a little bit ago, right? Mm-hmm. So I was watching Daniel Boone the other day, and Mel Sharples played an Indian chief. So go figure that. Or Vic Tayback, right? That's right.
Yeah,
Vic Tay. So so I thought you might find that interesting. So there's our tie-in.
Woo! Typecasted again.
Oh man, I tell you, they don't mind using anybody back then. So
yeah, definitely built like an Indian warrior chief, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he sure was. Looks a lot like one too. Yeah, but
a lot of male pattern baldness going on in the Indian world too, right? Native Americans, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
I did. It kicked me right in the shorts. Yeah, and the no legs.
Yeah,
yeah.
Tim, I've been on a little bit of a Batman freak out here. I went back because on Hulu they have the Batman, the Tim Burton Batmans on there.
Yeah.
And so I watched the first Batman, and then I'm about halfway through Batman Returns. Is that it? I think that's it. Batman, the second one with Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito. I think that's Batman.
Yeah, that's one that nobody liked. It was the only one I found mildly entertaining.
I actually like that one better than that's. Out of all the four, I know he only did the two, but the four
of that. Yeah.
But what I'm gonna have to comment on, Tim, I liked it when it came out, but there's always a couple things that I guess I didn't really like. I actually really liked the Batman animated series better than those movies. It's much better stories. But anyways, like Tim Burton, and I feel bad because he's kind of hit or miss for me on a lot of things. And the older that I get, the less I like these Batman films. Now, when I was lucky enough to meet Adam West right around the time that this movie came out. And I think I had told you this before. I got a poster, from the Batman, the movie, with the United Underworld. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, could you sign Hey Ben to the Batmobile? And he said no. And I thought he was kidding with me. And he said, no, I cannot sign Batmobile. And that was my first real introduction into copyrighted type things and stuff like that, where I was like, you got to be kidding, And you and I have talked about this before with the gentleman who played the Lone Ranger and how he wasn't allowed to wear the mask, and they didn't want Adam West going around dressed as Batman and all that because they were trying to separate themselves from that old TV show, right?
Yeah.
This is a whole new thing. This is Tim Burton. This is a whole new outlook. Well, I'm going to tell you what, you go back now and watch those films. To me, it is the difference between those films and the old Batman, the Adam West Batman. To me, the difference between those two is the same difference now between the Christopher Nolan made Batmans and Tim Burton's. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
To me, you go back and watch these Tim Burton ones, they're just as silly or as off the wall as the difference between those and the original Batman TV show. So there are things. It was funny because when I was watching, I was like, God, I don't like this. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I used to always kind of, I was defend Michael Keaton because, it was all about Jack Nicholson. And I actually think I like Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne more than I like him as Batman.
Right.
In it. And I think he does a great job. Jack Nicholson, awesome job. But there are a lot of things in that film that I don't like. One being Kim Basinger. Now, I'd like to look at her. I really do. And there's a certain dress that she wears in that movie that I like to see her in. Okay. But there's just, there is a lot about those films that I just don't like. And I will say it. And a lot of it has to do with the ending of that movie. And we've talked about this before, and it was in the Dark Knight, the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight, where the Joker's character basically says, "You don't think I would risk the the war for Gotham's soul in a fist fight with you?" And when I saw it in the theater, I thought, that's to me, it's a direct poke at the Tim Burton ones, because if you go back and watch the original Tim Burton Batman, the ending is god awful. It is awful. And I remember even when I first saw it, I even strained to like it, because I'm like, oh God, this ending is awful.
Right.
Because they go up there, they fight in the tower, and he punches them, and, Jack Nicholson, the chattering teeth, and he says, well, you made me, I made you. It's just, and it's just like this painful little fight scene that just, for me, ruins that whole movie. And it's, I don't know, I hate to be like that, but I saw so many pimples in watching it again. And it's been, 10, 15 years since I've probably watched it. And I don't know. Didn't really enjoy it, but like I will say, I'm halfway through the next one, and I think I kind of like that one a lot better than the first one.
Yeah, I've never liked the Tim Burton Batman films. I didn't like any of them. And I mean, when the ones that Joel Schumacher did or whatever, I just don't like. I like the Christopher Nolan Batman films a lot. I don't like. I never did like him. I liked the Adam West Batman. I thought that was fun. I did not like anything in that era of Batman films. And the funny thing is, though, the one that I kind of was drawn to and had some fun with, I think, was that second one, because I liked Danny DeVito as the Penguin. And I also liked Christopher Walken in it a lot.
Oh, he's good in it.
Yeah.
He's really good in it.
Those two things kind of elevated that one to me. And I thought it was a little bit more of an interesting story with the Penguin and everything. I thought it was creepier and kind of, it felt more like a darker kind of horror film at sometimes. I just don't like any of it. It's just not those movies just aren't my thing, but I tried.
I feel where you're coming from on that, buddy. And it's like, though I do in the original Batman, Tim Burton Batman, there are a lot of lines and things from that film that I love. I really do. There's some great things, like when Jack Nicholson basically, he says, and where is the Batman? He's at home washing his tights. Love it. Oh my God. I think it's just, there are so many really good things in there. But after going back and taking many years off of it, but watching it as a whole, I'm going to give it a C-.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll give Nicholson's performance, and actually even Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne, very high marks, but I don't know.
Something interesting. When that movie came out, when the first one did, there was a gal that I was courting, very pretty girl, and she really wanted to go see this movie. So that was like all of our little phone calls. I was probably 16 years old or so.
Sure.
And all of our little cute little phone calls and stuff led up to going to see this movie. And I remember I sat there with her, and she was just dying laughing at Jack Nicholson, thinking he was so entertaining and so funny. And I sat there like a stone. And I remember looking over her going, this movie is not for people like me.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. It's for the general popcorn consuming movie culture of the 90s or whatever, like the late 80s, early 90s. And I just never liked it. As a matter of fact, I think it ruined my, I couldn't stand sitting there looking at this pretty girl laughing at this shitty movie. I couldn't handle it. You can imagine. I'm such a deep person. I just couldn't stand it. I was like, you're out. Get out of here. I don't care how good looking you are.
Right.
But,
well, I tell you, Timo, watching it the other day, it made me feel so happy about the old TV show. It did. Yeah. It made me feel like, you know what? You guys, and it wasn't maybe so much Tim Burton as it was Warner Brothers or whatever. You guys were trying to get so far away from the television show that, to me now watching it, it's like, you know what? You guys are that television show now. And so it made me happy. You know what I mean? Because I like all forms of the Batman for the most part. You know what I mean? And time marches on, and there's no reason to look down on something that was before. Okay. So that's where I'm at on that. But, It was okay watching. It was okay.
Chance for Halloween is going to be the Adam West Batman.
Nice.
He doesn't want to be the new Batman because his new favorite thing is every Saturday night on MeTV, he sits there for an hour and watches that Batman show on MeTV.
Good for him.
That's like his one thing. His one thing a week that he watches is Batman on Saturday nights. So
good.
Had to throw that in there. Just thought about that. So anyway,
it makes me feel good. It gives me hope for humanity too.
Yes, yeah.
One other thing, Tim, I know you and I talked about, and I'll try to keep it a little bit. I got some other stuff, but we can talk about later. But one thing I did watch was the movie Hateful Eight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I actually kind of enjoyed it. You mentioned that didn't Tarantino say it was somewhat influenced by The Thing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's even why he put Kurt Russell in there. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's very influenced by The Thing.
I enjoyed it. I thought as far as like a Western, it's not a complete Western, I guess. I mean, as far as posses and hangings, but there is a hanging, you know what I mean? And stuff. But like, I enjoyed it. I think, it was definitely kind of had the feeling of like The Thing. Had great actors in it. I love Kurt Russell. I'm sorry. I think Kurt Russell is one of our finest actors of all time. I just do. I like him. I like Samuel L. Jackson a lot too, but I just like Kurt Russell. I'm a big, and always will be, anyways, but yeah, I did enjoy it. There were a couple things that I think kind of took from it. One being Quentin Tarantino's narration of some of the stuff. I think was not necessary. I don't think he needed it. And then also, I'm going to sound like a mamby-pamby wuss girl, but I think there was way too much cussing in it, and not just so much that there was too much, but that it doesn't sound like it would have been from that time period.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
It sounded to me like Pulp Fiction in a Western.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that,
and I don't think it needs it. And I'm the type of person that if you say the word F-U-C-K so much or whatever, it just takes away from it.
Yeah, it does.
If you hear it 35 times, it just, to me, and I think that was just a waste in that film. But I was very happy to see Walter Goggins. I think that's how you say his name. I like him. He played in The Shield. I know he was in the House of a Thousand Corpses briefly. He's been in a lot of, TV shows and some good movies, but I was glad to see him in that film. Now he's the one character that him and Samuel L. Jackson are the two that survive. And I like him. I just think he's a good actor. At first in the film, he sounds a little goofy, but they all kind of do at first, until you start to kind of get the characters. But yeah, I thought it was a great film. The ending, but whatever. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think Tarantino, for me, I'm starting to realize this, is that the stuff that I tend to like that he did is the stuff that Tarantino fans don't.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I think because I'm not a Tarantino fan. I mean, like Reservoir Dogs, I thought was brilliant. I did like Inglourious Bastards. But it was different.
Seen all that.
It was different.
Yeah.
And see, this movie was different. It was taking influences, but putting them together in a way that you'd have to know that. I mean, of course, it feels like The Thing. The movie does, but it's like you get that. You come to that conclusion. The movie allows you to come to that conclusion on your own. It doesn't beat you over the head with it with a tentacle flying in the camera or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like it allows you to come to that on your own. And that's what I think that Tarantino does not do. He doesn't trust the intelligence of his audience.
Sure.
And that bothers me because it's like you don't have to throw Franco Nero in the Django movie. You can do that. That's fucking cool. I mean, a lot of people do that, but it's like, but you don't have to compound it. You don't have to have Franco Nero look into the camera and say, I am Django. Yeah, I know, man. It was cool you were there, but you don't need to go further with it, And I thought Django was okay. I thought it was an okay film, but anyway, but I don't really disagree with any of that. I do remember there being a lot of cursing, but I think if I'm not mistaken, it's a record or something.
It probably is because I tell you, I've never heard so. I mean, which is whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I tend to cuss. I used to not. I used to try to kind of watch my cussing. But the thing is, I just think it takes away from it a lot. I think it took a lot away from it. And then also, like, just all of a sudden, halfway through the film, he starts narrating. Like, wait, what? All right, we're talking about a bunch of tough guys and things like that. Then you got the guy with a voice kind of like mine, all of a sudden popping in, and it's like, wait, what? Like, no, just stop, you know? And that's, I don't know. I think there needs to be someone to stand around him and go, Quentin, do you really think we need to have your voice in this? Do you really think? No, we don't. And the other thing that made me mad was you don't kill Kurt Russell like halfway through the film. What's your problem? You know, jeez, and that's, you know. But anyways, I did like it, and it was cool to see another like a modern Western, and I enjoyed it. I really liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, it's good. Well, and the thing with Tarantino too, with the cursing and everything too, it's like, I think in Django, I think that might have also been some kind of the N-word. They used it so many times in the movie, and I got
do in this one,
a
lot,
and I got offended by it, not because it was being used. I got offended by who was using it. And some of the holier than thou bullshit that comes out of Hollywood, the lecturing that comes out of Hollywood. And yet you're the people pervasively spreading this stuff, but it's okay for you to do it, but it's not okay for anybody. And I don't think it's okay at all. I get it in a movie to make a point. I understand it. Sure. And matter of fact, I mean, I'm an old Richard Pryor fan. You know, Eddie Murphy, these guys used to say that stuff all the time. It's like, so either it's cool or it's not cool, or or at least don't crucify someone by saying something stupid every now and then. Some people do say, I've said stupid things, and so have you. Luckily, we can edit, and I still don't edit out all the stupid shit. So, you know, but I think some of it becomes a little offensive to me, not in a 2017 way. I don't mean that. I just mean like, look, either do it or don't. I mean, it's almost like, so these guys get a get out of jail free card. Like if me and you were to put together a film that looked just like The Hateful Eight, and we got no name actors in it, but everybody did a real good job, and we had that same script with those same words in it, do you think that it would be heralded?
No.
Right.
No.
Right. And see, I think this is well, that's a problem in the country today. Nobody's listening to it. Yeah, it is what it is.
No.
But what I'm saying, though, it's like, it bothers me because of I'm being lectured to by a group that's doing it. I'm not doing that. I'm not saying those words. Ben Harley, tell the audience, you're with me a lot. And I'm not exactly a PC guy. Do I ever say things like that? Ever?
No.
Do I have that in me at all? No. But it doesn't mean, and you know what I'm saying? It just bothers me. And I don't want to, I guess I have overstated what I just said, but I just hope I'm trying to explain myself, saying it throws me off and it makes me uncomfortable and I don't like it. And I just, is anyone else around here looking at this? You know, I'm like looking around to my side going, anybody else think this is hypocritical?
Sure.
Is that good? I don't know.
Now, there's a thing, there's just a couple of the words that they say in there, they just said it 2 or 3 times, okay. But when you say it 25 times and it's just some of the same stuff. Now, real quick, Timo, and I'm probably dumb about this. The girl that was in the film, who was that?
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, she's great. She's great in it.
Yeah. Oh, my God, she's awesome. You know, it's funny, though, at first I'm like, because it looks like Sherry Moon Zombie.
Oh,
it does, like a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
not quite as dirty.
Like, yeah, right. Well, then there's the one part, and it was funny. We were watching it, and it's a real good part with her, and the acting's just phenomenal. I'm like, well, that's not Sherry Moon Zombie. That's for sure.
Right.
Oh my God. So, but yeah, That's who I figured it was, but at the end I didn't really watch the credits and whatever. So I figured that was her, but I was just at certain point I was like, God, it doesn't look like her, and man, she's So, but okay, yeah, cool.
Well, I'm glad you watched it though. I thought you would like it. I thought about you when I was watching. I think I told you that it kind of reminded me of good. It's good atmosphere and good environment for a film. And it is dark. Yeah. It's dark. So which is cool.
Definitely.
So well, let's get to our official little films, Mr. Ben Harley. Let's get all right. Get those rolling here. Let's see. Let's start off with 1982's The Slayer. All right.
The Slayer.
Now, I'll get out movie guy here. Now
Fine year.
Yes. Yeah. Now this movie is also available on Amazon Prime. Ha ha. Okay. Yeah, let's see here. Get movie guy out. Look at movie guy out, and we'll do the synopsis. Here we go.
Yeah.
In this chilling classic, two young couples set off to a secluded island for what promises to be a restful retreat. But the peace is short-lived as a storm begins to batter the island. Troubled artist Kay senses a malevolent presence in her midst, stalking them at every turn. Is she losing her mind? Or are her childhood nightmares of a demonic assailant coming to terrifying life? Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty classic horror setup. Yep, some couples go. Yeah. It's on vacation, basically, to an island. If I was going to an island, Ben Harley, I might not immediately be so dismissive of the guy that is the ferry back and forth. I guess the plane, was it a plane or a helicopter or something?
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be so dismissive of the guy saying you shouldn't be there. I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
They didn't listen.
Right.
They didn't listen. But, let's see here. Directed by J.S. Cardone, who was, he still works. He's a genre guy. He's done a lot of stuff, a lot of low budget stuff. Some stuff, okay, but he works. He does everything. Again, 1982. This is kind of a rare film. It was on VHS with a double feature with Scalps. And that's where I always saw it, as a double feature on a big box. I don't know if it was Wizard Video or something like that.
Yeah,
but
might have been.
But that version was shorter. It was 15 minutes shorter. The interesting thing was they didn't cut out any of the violence or the gore.
Yeah.
So my theory is, and I'll let you speak on the Slayer here, because this is, I think, the second time I've seen it. My theory is the 15 minutes they edited was the scene where there's closing all the shutters.
Yeah, there is a little bit of walking about in this film.
Yeah. So what'd you think of the Slayer, Ben Harley?
Tess, the first time I've seen this, I'd heard of it before, but yeah, I'd never seen it. Not a bad film, like you said. It's a perfect setup for of a horror flick. It was funny because they kept saying, "Now you're going to be going on vacation. Everything's going to be fine. Just tune out." And I kept thinking to myself, "Oh my God, this sounds so good. I wish I was going with these people until they got to the island." You know what I mean? And then I kept thinking to myself, I'd have been a little pissed off too, because like everybody's mad, except for the one guy who set up the vacation or whatever, because they go to like this deserted island where there's a house or two, like the one they're staying in. And I think there's like an old stable or something. And it's like, why would you take me here? You know what I mean? I guess I understand the fact that, okay, you're taking me there because there is nothing. We're going to tune out from society or whatever. But I think maybe nowadays, more because with cell phones and everybody being so like plugged into everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But at that point I would be like, the people that I'm taking with me don't look like much of the outdoorsy type, You're taking them to an island where there is nothing and no way to, there's no restaurant. There's no nothing, like, wait a second. This, for me, the whole time I'm just kept thinking, that guy's a jerk.
Right.
What a jerk. But anyways, they do, the house they stay in is actually kind of nice. The inside is nice, the outside, and that's, whatever. Right. For me, I said it was a kind of a cool setup, after that, after the fact that I got over that, this is where you took them.
Right, right.
Once I got over that, the rest of the movie kind of fell into place, and it is kind of a nice setup. But the thing is, there's not that many people. There's only 4 of them. And plus, you got the guy who flew you in there and who actually took off, but then came back to warn them again.
Right.
I think the second time he came back to warn me, I'd have said, well, is the plane warmed up? Because I think we should probably get out of here.
Right.
You know, like the second time definitely would have rang true to me. So,
right.
And he was a creepy enough character too that for me, I'm thinking, is this guy going to come back and get you? You know, is he?
Right.
Really? You know, so you're right, Timo. It had all the elements. And so from then on, I thought it was kind of cool. Now, the main character, the one lady who was the artist, man, she wasn't, this is going to sound so mean.
Appealing?
She wasn't ugly. Right. But there were certain scenes that made me laugh. I'm like, there was one scene, and it was funny because I had paused it to, you know, as I was printing last night, I paused it because I didn't want to miss nothing. And when I paused it, it was on the part where the guy in the plane came back to warn her.
Right.
Well, let me just say, Timo, she had a face that didn't launch 1,000 ships, but sunk 1,000 ships.
Right.
Whew, I think this girl could go from mildly attractive or kind of just, you know, whatever, to downright scary, like from one scene to the next. Like, I mean, from one shot to the next, I'm like, I was scared of her. I really was.
Right. She's creepy looking. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, but basically, I think the premise was they were trying to get her there to kind of tune out. And it was her brother, I do believe, Timo, that was the one that took him there to that island.
Yeah,
and they were trying to help her a little bit because her and her husband were having problems. She was having issues she was a very promising artist who basically dropped what she was doing to do stuff that was like what the guy said, you couldn't even make heads or tails of.
Right. Right.
And I think it was just her having problems coping with her mental stability.
Right.
So, Tim, I think for me, it was kind of good.
It's not,
it's
not super fast paced. Yeah, it's not super fast paced. But it does have it does succeed in creating like a sense of dread. It's got a genuinely creepy kind of eerie atmosphere to it, and I think the year that 82 helps a lot. Yeah, because of just the style of filmmaking. Then it really adds, and there's an orchestra score too. Yeah, which is pretty good. It's actually pretty decent. Now the acting is pretty stiff, but that's pretty typical. Some of it can be. It's still pretty typical of the genre, though. I mean, it's not like unheard of. Like, it's not the worst I've ever seen. But this movie is kind of like a reverse Nightmare on Elm Street. And so it's like every time the main chick falls asleep, a demon comes and kills other people, as opposed to when you fall asleep, it attacks you. That's not this thing. She is the I don't know. She's the instigator of the problem. And the other thing is that it's kind of,
she keeps having these premonitions of what's going to happen in her dreams.
Right.
Kinda, right.
And they kind of come true. Like she kind of dreams, which has been done before. Maybe not as much as in 82, sure, but it's been done. And I'd be hard pressed to think that Wes Craven didn't see this movie and get an idea.
Sure.
It's got a really cool monster in it, but it needed way more. Way more. If it had more of that thing in there, I think it'd be kind of cool. It's a little bit of a head on a pole, but it looks cool. It does. And I will say, Tim, that it did feel like the loneliness, or not the loneliness, but the sense of dread.
I don't know. Yeah, well, no, I mean, them being on an island and there is nothing around. So I guess it did have that feel.
Isolation.
For me, which a lot of movies, I'm sorry. It did have a good feel of isolation, because a lot of these movies that are supposed to be, I just don't feel it. But for some reason, this one, and that helps me with watching these films, because I think it's supposed to be a big part of certain movies, but it just doesn't transcend as well as I think it did in this one. So.
Well, and it's got some pretty nifty death scenes. It really does. But you're right. It needed a couple more to pad out and to get the film going quicker a little bit. Again, it's 1982. They did have the random guy. They had a random guy that was sitting there. They threw him in to get clubbed over the head with an oar, which that was the other thing too. It was never really spelled out. Was it the monster killing everybody? Right. And who else could it have been? I mean, that's kind of the thing, like on the island, who else could it have been? I guess it could have, I don't know.
I didn't know if it was her. You know what I mean? That's what I was starting to think. I'm like, well, is it her? Is she sleepwalking and killing these people, or
but then does
she just not know?
I agree, but then they don't really set it up like it could have been her, and so I kind of thought that was an added little bonus. I mean, it's an added little plus. Yeah, I thought it was just made it a little more mysterious. Look, I kind of feel the same way about this movie now as I did. God, it had to be like 25 years ago when I saw this. I mean, it was a long time ago. I rented on VHS with scalps. It's the first time I saw both movies.
Scalps. Yeah.
And I remember this one just having something creepy that I appreciated about it. Now, I saw the 75-minute version, which might have been better. However, I'll tell you, the VHS transfer was not like with the new.
This was good.
Yeah, this was Arrow put this out. So, I mean, they did a good job putting this out. I was floored. Some of these movies that are coming out now that I saw on VHS, I was sure that was about the best they were ever going to look. And I'm floored by some of these transfers these companies are flying. So it's the same way for me. It's not my favorite film, but it's really curious. And I can't not like it. It's got something there. There's some talent there. There's something genuinely creepy about this film. And the fact that the characters are unappealing in a way adds to it a bit. So I'm going to give this just a solid grape ape up. I actually thought it was much better than I even thought I was going to. I enjoyed it a little more than I thought I was going to. And I kind of walked in thinking I was going to kind of like it. And it held up for me a little bit for a movie from that era. Again, a bit slow, some stiff acting, needs some more kills. That 75-minute runtime probably could add to the film too, but I'll take it. I thought it was okay. So I'm going to give it just a regular grape ape up.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a mild grape ape up. I did like it though. And I did think that it was a good setup. I just think it could have used maybe a couple more people, like another couple or something, I agree. And it's not like, I need to see more killings. It's not that either. But then again, I also like the fact that there was only 4 too, and there was tension. I guess for me, the tension between the brother and sister wasn't like, I hate you, I'm going to kill you stuff. But there was tension, because he told her, you should, why'd you drop doing what you were doing as far as an artist? You were an up and coming and you should, having a brother or siblings and things like that. Sometimes they tell you, why didn't you do it? You should have, you know what I mean? And you take that stuff to heart. So I appreciated that about it too, and, I must say, Tim, I did like the part where she woke up and she rolled over to kiss her husband or whatever, and it was just his head there. Yeah.
Well, that's weird too. That's got that weird thing where the head's kind of moving a little bit too still, and you're like, what the hell? I kind of like that. Yeah. Like, I think that's kind of fun where I guess it could be a mistake, but it's kind of not at the same time. So it's like, wow. Yeah. I dug it. I kind of thought that was cool.
I guess I'll give it a little bit more than a little bit more than a mild grape ape up, because I think it's a good movie. I think people would enjoy this. And from that time period, you could do a lot worse, Mm-hmm. I just think maybe, like you said, the version that might have been 15 minutes, less, I might have enjoyed a little bit more. Too. Right. Because there are some parts where there's a lot of walking. They're looking for her husband, and there's just stuff like that where you like you said, Tim, they're padding it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. It felt that way. Yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay. Now, I didn't really understand the ending that much, but that's okay too. So,
it's like I said, it's a little vague, but I kind of dug that. Let's see. Let's get to our next film, Mr. Ben Harley. This is kind of a. All right, Timo. Speaking of throwback, like the Yowie movie I watched, this is kind of just a throwback film for us. Now, we have talked about going back and how could I put it? Re-reviewing a few things, some classics and stuff that we want to come back to. I don't even remember if we reviewed this film before. If not, it doesn't matter.
I don't think we did, though. Buddy.
I don't think we did either. But you know what? Honestly, it doesn't matter because this film is 1989's Pet Sematary. Yeah. So let's see here. Let me get out and I'll just do the synopsis, even though everyone probably listening knows what Pet Sematary is about. But here we go. All right. Come on, movie guy. Let's see. Pet Sematary. I know, but it's part of the format. All right. Okay, here we go. All right. After moving to an idyllic home in the countryside, life seems perfect for the Creed family. But not for long. Lewis and Rachel Creed and their 2 young children settle into a house that sits next door to a pet cemetery built on an ancient Indian burial ground. Their mysterious new neighbor, Judd Crandall, Fred Gwynn, hides the cemetery's darkest secret until a family tragedy brings the secret to life. Now, an unthinkable evil is about to be resurrected. Okay.
That's right.
Yes, so this is Stephen King's Pet Sematary.
He wrote a few books, right?
He wrote a couple of them. Look, let's dive into this because again, I think most people have seen this film. I think this is like one of the last classic Stephen King adaptations. Now, I think The Mist is really good, and I'm talking about the horror ones. Okay, I'm not going to throw in like Green Mile or Shawshank Redemption. Those were brilliant adaptations and stuff. I'm talking
Stand By Me.
Yes, exactly. Well, and Stand By Me was before this, so my point would still be the same. Yeah, I think Stand By Me, I believe, was like 86. I think this is 89.
Okay.
But I just think this was, as far as horror films go, just a really neat telling of his story. He did, I do believe, did the screenplay.
Did he? Okay.
Actually, it is the first filmed screenplay King adapted of one of his novels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And he also
said
it was the only novel he wrote that really scared him. And actually,
I've never read the novels.
Well, actually, he even said, I think he put it on the shelf for a long time because his family read it and hated it. Like they thought it was horrible. They thought it was just terrible. I mean,
really,
it's dark, man. It's tough. I mean, it's a family dying off. I mean, so starting off, let's see. Dale Midkiff is Lewis Creed. Something I did not know. Apparently, Bruce Campbell was the first choice as Lewis.
Really?
I look. Nobody loves Bruce more than me and Ben. We will still talk about the steak he bought us. And he's bought me other meals, but there ain't nothing like that first steak, man. It's still, I think there's a piece up between my teeth that I will not floss out because it's still got flavor left in it. Denise Crosby, who we've met, she played Rachel Creed. Very wonderful woman.
Nice.
Very wonderful woman. Yeah. Of course, Fred Gwynn as Judd Crandall was just, watch out for that rod over there. You know, that, I mean, his performance was so good, it is aped all the time. And that's the sign of a really good classic performance. It was shot in rural Maine, actually, where the book took place. Okay. Right. It was actually 20 minutes away from Stephen King's house in Bangor. Really? And actually, speaking of first choices, George Romero was supposed to direct this.
Wow.
Yeah. Huh. And I think something got long and then he had to go and do something else. Blah, blah. He just did not do it.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Now, George Romero would have been cool. Mary Lambert did a good job with this movie, but George Romero probably would have even upped it up one little notch. No offense to Mary Lambert. I don't want to change the film. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that would have been kind of cool. Right. Now, I do think that Dale Midkiff, again, is much better than, Bruce Campbell. It's just not his, I don't know. I can't see it. I'll put it that way. I'm not saying he can't act. I'm just saying I don't see it. I don't see who that was. Right. Let's see. And actually, and I'm going to let you go here. I'm just setting this stuff up for you so you can get a little background on the story. Yeah. The events, some of these things happened to Stephen King when he lived in Maine. There was a cat killed. His cat was killed. There was an old guy that lived across the road. The road was bad with trucks going down it. A truck killed his cat. The old guy across the street called him and said, hey, you know, I think your cat, you think your cat's in my yard. Yeah, dead. And then his son, Stephen King's son, was nearly hit by a speeding truck. There really was an elderly guy across the road. Not only that, but there truly was a pet cemetery behind the home. So he really did write
Okay.
this. I believe he was teaching when he wrote this, but he wrote this all around
Yeah.
stuff that was going on around him, which I find very interesting. And maybe it's what makes it such
Me
a compelling
too, yeah.
story, that he took reality, because reality is strange. Truth is stranger than fiction, right, Judgy Wudgy?
Yes,
You know?
that's right.
Yeah. I'm going to let you go here for a minute with Pet Sematary and just comment on it a little bit here.
Yeah, Timo, it's been a while since I've watched this all the way through too. And I remember seeing this in the theater when it came out. And I remember just being so flippin' happy to see Fred Gwynn in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I still, to this day, one of the reasons I kind of like this movie is because of him.
Yes.
And I still, after watching it again, still feel that way.
Yes.
I feel he is just, it was, for me, and you got to do this. I know you did My Cousin Vinny and stuff, and he was great in that too, but I just was so happy to see him in this movie, and I love the monsters and stuff, but I was just, it just, for me, this was kickstarted this movie for me, just having him in it. So,
Right.
But going back and watching this film, I did see some pimples in it, because I haven't seen it in a long time. And nowadays, the way horror films are made, they're just throwing so much at you all the time, and it's gore, or whatever.
Are you talking about Rhino?
I think. Yeah, gore.
Sorry.
Don't say that too loud. It'll come through the window.
He's like the Kool-Aid man. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. You threw me off track.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah. But I think I kind of appreciated it. But it feels like I guess it made it feel to me more like a made for TV film watching it this time in a way, but that's okay too. But I do remember when I've seen this in the theater, with the Pascal character, that was shocking to me seeing him, they bring him in, his brain's hanging out, and then he wakes up, and that stuff was pretty cool. When I first saw it, I think it's lost a lot of its effect for me now, but I just kind of like this movie. I kind of like, it doesn't waste any time. It gets right going, and this movie for me, having, so when this came out, I was 19. I had my first daughter a few years later. It's hard for me watching this film, having children and stuff, because how things could happen that quickly and your whole life changes. You know what I mean? And I think there are certain scenes in this film, like right after Gage is killed. I mean, right after, like, they kind of go through and they show, he was only 2 or 3 years, but they show like flashes of them holding him when he was born and different things.
Like a little montage.
And they're showing these pictures laying on the road. And I was just like, wow, that's intense.
Yeah.
And the way it happens and stuff like that. There are certain scenes in this film like that in particular that are just, to me, are gut wrenching, but not just that, but they're well done too. You know what I mean? If that makes any stinking sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
But there's certain things in this film that just, I guess maybe because Stephen King, like you were saying, he wrote it from true life things happening to you. It's just, from a family standpoint or a father's standpoint, there's a lot of things in this film that resonate big time. You know what I mean?
It's and punching taboo buttons.
Yes,
big time.
Yes,
it really
exactly.
is. It really is.
But like I said, there's a couple things in this film that I really enjoy that knock it out of the park for me. One being Fred Gwynn, and I will have to say too that the character of Gage, I think, is maybe forgotten about a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially after he is buried in the pet cemetery and comes back. I forgot exactly how spooky or terrifying he was and how spooky it was to me having a child like, doing those type of things. And he looked creepy. And I tell you what, I'm going to give that kid 4 stars for after his dad gives him the medicine, kills him. He walks away and he falls down, and I don't. There, first off, a little kid like that
wasn't
not
him.
A stunt kid.
It's not him.
No,
that wasn't him. No, they had like a little person or something that was. Yeah, they shot
falls
things
down and hits his head. Yeah,
yeah. I don't think it was him.
Every time I see that,
yeah.
Every time I see that, I go, "Ow, ooh," because he takes a little fall. He takes a fall, and he falls back and hits his head. And I'm like, man, that had to hurt. You know what I mean?
Right. I think they edited in some other like little person, like stunt. I don't know this for sure, but I do know that there was a little person or a child that was a stunt person or something. I do know that.
Okay, yeah,
for sure that it wasn't.
Yeah,
and actually, everything you're talking about is spot on. And if it wasn't done so well, that's moment when Gage comes like Superman flying out of the ceiling would have just been a laugh riot and would have just ruined the whole. That came close to derailing everything, But I don't disagree.
Because it was a child's play.
Yeah. I don't, because Miko Hughes was 31 to 33 months old while filming this. Can you believe that? I mean, that's amazing. I mean, that little kid, and between Fred Gwynn and that little kid, I mean. It's just great. Actually, Mr. Miko Hughes has partied in our room before conventions back in the day when we used to have the parties. I remember that. I remember he came in. I don't know who he was with. Probably Joel. Joel party with everybody, brings everybody up in Grape Ape, But he seemed like a nice guy. I didn't really talk to him much, but he seemed like a friendly guy,
Yeah.
And I'm sure, Harley,
I think it's a scary part.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, as I say, I don't think you're going to get out of this without talking about the Ramones tunes, right?
Yeah, Timo, that was hard for me because, I love me some Ramones, and it was nice that they got to do the soundtrack, or at least one of the songs. And then I know Stephen King is a huge Ramones fan as well.
Yeah.
The song "Sheena is a Punk Rocker" was what the guy, the truck driver, is listening to as Gage got run over.
Right.
I was like, oh, geez, but I guess they probably could have went with a little bit harder edged Ramones song, but you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I love Sheena as a Punk Rocker, and it's one of my old favorite Ramones songs. But it's really cool. And I actually saw something the other day about that, believe it or not. Marky Ramone, I think, is putting out not an album, he's putting out a book, and they were asking him some questions, and they talked about them going to Stephen King's house and having dinner with him. And he kind of gave, them the lowdown on what the movie was about and the book and stuff. And I said, Didi Ramone wrote Pet Sematary in about 40 minutes, I guess.
Right.
And, had it ready to go. So, and I actually like the song Pet Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
It's
okay.
It's a pretty good song. It's okay. It's not bad.
Yeah.
But, it was cool. And I will say, Tim, I do enjoy this movie a lot. And there is a certain part where Gage calls his father on the phone to talk to him and says, how's it go, Tim? I played with Judd, and then Mommy came and I played with her, and now I want to play with you.
Yeah, that's a great moment.
I'll tell you what, hearing that from a little kid, to me, stuff like that is almost spookier than just about anything.
Yeah.
And even in some of my favorite horror films, it's just, there's something about it, and something about a couple of those scenes. For me, Timo, too, like the last half hour of this film to me is the best of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's very creepy, very horror-esque. It's a lot more horror than I think the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I think it's good. I enjoyed the last half hour much more than I remember.
Yeah, it's definitely, and Gage's laugh at the end. I mean, some of that kind of gets under your skin too a little bit.
Oh yeah, he looks like a little Michael Myers.
yeah, he does. There is always the uncomfortable part of this film with Denise Crosby's sister. Who has spinal meningitis, is kind of deformed, and that's played by a guy, which makes it even more upsetting and stuff. Speaking of music in the film, I never noticed this before. Is that Amityville Horror soundtrack? I mean, seriously, like the little chorus, little kids chorus and stuff. I never noticed how much that it blew me out. I was like, I never noticed how much it is the same thing, but maybe I just didn't pay attention to it that much. Look, this is and you're right too. You mentioned Pascal earlier. I think Brian Greenquist was very good in that as that character. I thought that character was very cool, especially when he was following Denise Crosby home on the plane and stuff, and it was kind of funny because he's like, "Hello, here I am," haha, and I but the sense of this movie does not cheat at the end either. It leads you to believe there's hope, and there's no hope. There's no hope for these people at all.
There's no hope,
and I find that to be disconcerting. And the other thing is too is that it's a monkey's paw movie, and monkey's paw movies, I just tend to like them. I think they're creepy. I think it's scary because you can really identify with that. Sure can. You can totally identify with that. Here's some bad news for you. Apparently, there is a remake in pre-production.
I was thinking about that, Timo. I swear to God, I shit you not. I was thinking, when is this movie? While watching it, or not when, but I'm surprised there hasn't been a remake.
Yep.
Well, there we go.
Yep, it's in pre-production. Right. I found there's not too much going on right now with it, but I'm like, oh God, of course. I think. Look, here's the other thing too. This movie kind of is like a marker for me. It sort of ends what I consider golden era films. After this, there wasn't too much. Look. It's just a big great ape up. I mean, I've always liked this movie. I think it holds up. It feels about the same to me as it did when I saw it. Now, I thought it was creepier 30 years ago or whatever when it came out. But it was no better or worse. I still think it was real good. No. And I still want to take the little daughter and smack her across the face every time I look at her. Not my favorite character.
Yeah, I didn't like her that much in this one, even though it's like, she actually is a huge part of this film. You know what I mean? Like, such a big part of this film. But Tim, I'm going to give it also a great ape up. I'm going to give it a solid grape ape up. I'm going to give Fred Gwynn and Little Gage a super grape ape up in this film. And I do apologize because I wanted to talk about the fact of her sister and she also is like a big part of this film for me. Her sister.
It's disturbing
because it is so creepy. Yeah. There is a part at the end when she's like, Gage and I are here from you, and she gets up and she scurries across the floor. Right. You know what I mean? It's freaky. And too, by us both having special needs kids, like they were a dirty little secret back then. A lot of times they were kept away and put back and shouldn't have been talked about and things like that. But very, very underrated part of the film too.
Yeah, it's disturbing. There's disturbing parts. This is disturbing. Yeah. It doesn't look like a disturbing movie because of the way, but it is. No. You know what I mean? It's got kind of a lot of colors and things.
Family, very disturbing family moments, Timo. Yeah. The fight they get into at the funeral home.
Oh, yeah.
How fucking more disturbing can you get than having a fight with your father-in-law at your child's funeral and you knock the casket over and your kid almost falls out? How much more disturbing is that? You know what I'm saying? And
I don't want to know.
Exactly. Yeah. And those are the things that, it's like that he touched on in this film. So for me, super solid, grape ape up. I was happy about so many things about the film, at the time that it came out, but I think it still kind of holds up. Maybe not as good as some other films, but I still enjoyed it. And, in the best way that you can enjoy certain things like that.
I think it holds up great myself. Actually, I think it holds up spectacular. But let's get out of here, Ben Harley. Two great apes up for Pet Sematary. Two more mild yet respectable grape apes up for The Slayer. Now let's get out of here. Next week, Ben Harley, I'll give you a little hint as to what's up next week. Ready?
Yes. Ooh,
Did I stutter? Did I stutter?
No.
All right. Till next week, Ben Harley. Stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Yeah, keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com. Your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.